and thank you for joining me for this week's turning project video. I hope you're all well and you've had super creative weeks and weekends in your workshops. Now I haven't posted a video for a while, so it might be a little bit rusty, but today I thought I would take this big lump of Spalted Beech and turn it into a coloured bowl. Now, quite a lot of people don't like the idea of colouring Spalted Beech, but no piece of wood is safe from me in colouring, so I'm going to turn a bowl out of it and apply some colour and see how it looks. I've got it on a 5-inch, or I think it's about 120 odd millimetre 5-inch faceplate, and the big jaws of the lathe. And of course the first job is to get it round, so let's get it onto the lathe. No, that's not looks like we've got a bit of dense wood down here, and looking at it, it does look denser at the top here than it does over here. So we could be in for a bit of a bumpy ride. So then I'm going to take 1/2-inch bowl gouge, I can feel that it is denser on one side than the other. Okay, it's really quite punky on this side and quite fairly dense on the other side. So adding colour is going to be a little bit of a challenge, I have to say. But we can but try, can't we? So I'm not going to be afraid of not adding colour to it if it's really not going to be suitable. So I'm going to face off the bottom. The blank is about 14. Yes, about 14 inches in diameter. Oh yeah, that's going to be really, really punky. Right. Okay. Now I want, as usual, I want a shallow curve and a small foot on this piece. So I'm going to put a small tenon on so I can use the other chuck jaws. Yeah. I'm now beginning to think a bit more about this, but I love this brown here on this side. This brown here is gorgeous. This pale bit here, and there is some fantastic figure that's going to be on the inside as well, so we'll have to wait and see. Right, so I can now move the tool rest a little bit closer because I want to get a little skew chisel in there. So I'm going to use the Les Thorn signature spindle gouge. As you know, I turn quite a lot by eye, so I'm going to look, and I do want a very small foot, so I'll put the foot about there on the thicker line. So I'm going to bring the tailstock back up for a bit more support whilst I shape the actual piece itself. So I'm going to start shaping the bowl with the tool rest roughly 45 degrees to the corner. You can hear that it's out of balance, that although the lathe is screwed to the floor, there's still a little bit of vibration. So I'm going to eat this out. That's come out really quite nice. There's a bit of tear out where the wood's a little bit punky, but other than that, I'm quite pleased with it. So before I finish it, or before I sand it down, I'm going to give it a good dose of sanding sealer, just to try and stiffen up these fibres here where it's soft, and then I will sand it down and then I'll come back to it. The sanding sealer, I used a cellulose sanding sealer, has done a pretty darn good job of stiffening up the fibres. There's still a couple of little dimples in there, but I'm not going to worry about those, and I have decided to be brave and I'm going to colour it. Eek. So I've got the airbrush and I'm going to use I've sanded the black back, and it hasn't quite, it's done a nice enough job, but I want to see if I can get a little bit more, and I sanded it back with 180. So I want to see if I can get a bit more. So I'm going to stick a couple of gloves on and literally rub the colour into the wood. But now I'm going to use Crimson Guitars Black, which is a water-based stain and should hopefully sink into the wood a little bit more. It's going to be a very interesting result when I sand this back. Let's stick the mask on and see what happens.
Again, this is 180 grit. Now that's all I want to do.
And I'll sand that down to 400 and then we'll apply the rest of the colour. I've sanded it back down to 400 and as you can see there's a few black splodges on there, which is just what I was looking for. And I'm going to use the Crimson Guitar stains again and have a bit of a play. There's some really nice figure along here which I want to accentuate, in fact all down there I think. So I'm going to have a look at the colours. I've got a huge choice of colours and I think I might be really bold and do a red, I'm not sure. So let's do a crimson red. So crimson red, if you start colouring, or you already do, well, if you start colouring, you'll go through a huge amount of kitchen towel, and if you already do a lot of colouring, you'll know that you go through a lot of colour, a lot of kitchen towel. Look at that, boom! That's brave if ever I saw it. So as the colour goes on, it deepens the black that's been left in the wood. So I'm concentrating most of the colour along the actual figure itself. And then as the towel dries, I'm just pushing that colour out a little bit, kind of either side. And when you are colouring, it's really important to try and blend the colours so they're kind of, the blend is, it appears to be kind of natural. It appears natural. Of course, wood isn't these colours naturally. So big, long, wide blends across the two colours, or across the colours. And there we have the Hampshire Sheen High Gloss finish on the back of the bowl. Now I've got to turn it over, get it off the faceplate, stick it in the chuck, and then we can work on the inside and see what we can do with that. Okay, let's clean off the glasses and let's hollow out the inside of the bowl. I am slightly concerned about this area of the blank here. That looks really quite hard, running right across there, so I think this could be a bit of a bumpy ride. Right, freshly sharpened 1/2 inch bowl gouge. I've got the tool rest quite a long way below centre, handles down. Face off the front of the bowl. It's quite slow, the lathe, so the hollowing process is going to be quite difficult. Cool. It is going to be a hard. running out of battery power on the cameras, so here is the piece. I've sanded the inside down to 400 grit and then applied the black colour. Now where I've got hard and soft wood, the inside rim where it's been sanded is quite lumpy and bumpy, so that's going to be interesting after I've sanded it down for the main colour. So I'm going to sand that down after the stain has dried completely, and then we'll look at the colouring. Now I've got the colour, I've sanded the black back, and it looks a little bit like a sort of a landscape almost round here, kind of mountainous, I guess. So I think what I'm going to do is do that bit kind of green. I don't know, I'll see. I'll stick some green on it and see what it looks like. Lovely vibrant green. And then, ooh, might rub a bit of blue in. That's quite a light blue. Amber. Now I know amber is not quite as bright as the yellow, and I don't think it's going to overpower the green. No, it doesn't. And that will suffice. Lovely. Right, so whilst that is drying off, I'm going to sand back the rim, and then do something with the rim just to add a little bit of interest to it. So I'm going to do that now, and I'll come back to you when we're done. That's the rim done. Let me turn the filter off. That's the rim sanded down to 400. I just threw the blowtorch just in there a little bit, just to give the piece a little bit of extra depth on the inside of the bowl. And now I'm going to put on the acrylic spray sealer. And I'm really desperately running out of camera time on this camera, so I will put the acrylic sanding sealer on and then finish it off, and then finish it off in wax, and then we'll come back to you again. And here we are. Here is the finished piece. Unfortunately, both the camera batteries have pretty much died now, so next time I'm going to have to plug them in. But here is the final finished piece. Sanded down to 400 as you saw, sanding sealer, and then Hampshire Sheen High Gloss over the top, and I'm chuffed to bits with how the colour looks. I think Spalted Beech has potential to be an absolutely stunning wood when coloured to accentuate the grain and the figure in the piece. And I think the inside of the piece here looks a little bit like a little bit planetary. So I think the name for this piece is going to be Planetary Beech. So thank you very much indeed for watching. I hope you enjoyed this week's project video. I look forward to seeing you again very soon for another video, something a little bit different next time perhaps. Thanks very much for watching. Take care now. Bye bye.